Yeah, that's the sound of Delphic and Submission from their last album, Acolyte. Well, it's been a long time. What can I say? People were calling Delphic an overnight success in 2009. It was an overnight success, which I think took them probably about 6 years. Introduce yourselves, lads.
Hello, I'm James Cook.
I'm Rick Boardman.
And I'm Matt.
Don't usually do surnames, do we?
Oh, no, not in Matt's.
The surname route.
Not in
not in
Matt's
case.
case.
No.
Cox Edge. Nothing
That's
wrong
the
with
one.
that.
It's a strong name, isn't it?
It's memorable.
It's bold.
But I mean, there was this whole thing about Delphic, when in fact, you've been in bands that have been, not successful as such, but certainly known, and you had airplay in Manchester. You pulled crowds, 200 people and what have you to your gigs, which isn't bad before that. Okay, because you were in Lisa Brown when you were all kids, weren't you?
Well, it was technically these guys' band, and I kind of joined while it was dying.
Yeah, maybe you were something to do with the fact that it was.
No.
Yeah, me and Matt went to school together, so we were in bands, since we were kids, and then towards the end, we got James in basically, and I think we just kept on adding members to try and sort our problems out. Musically.
And then you kind of change your name and the sort of music direction a bit with Snow Fight in the
yeah,
city
and lost 3 members sadly, and then just the 3 of us remained. Sorry, that was post. Now we were in Snowfight. Yeah. No, we had about 20 fucking members in.
Pardon your French.
Flipping members.
but
it's just the Snowfight days. It's emotional.
But there was that whole thing.
Can you bleep that out?
Yes. But there was that whole thing with Delphic, because I was chuckling to myself a bit when everyone thought they'd discovered some new band. When you've been around in Manchester and in some ways, pulling more people to your gigs, and a lot of the bands were being lauded around the place.
It's amazing. You just change your name and everyone's like, what?
We should have done it for the second album, shouldn't we? We did consider it.
But you did have a certain amount of experience, and there was a sheer kind of enthusiasm and hard work, even in those bands that you often say, oh, we were in crap bands before Delphic.
Well, you kind of say that, don't you? Yeah, and we do think they were kind of crap to an extent, but we learned our craft doing it. We learned what not to do, and we learned what things worked, and then we just hid away for a year, wrote an album really privately and quietly, then came out kind of ready-made basically as Delphic, we wouldn't have been able to do that had we not gone through all that other stuff.
And also with Delphic, you kind of got around a lot of the hype. Okay, you got the press and everything, you got good reviews, but I was surprised at how many people bought that album, who just sort of maybe heard you once on the radio. Yeah. And it was like all age ranges, up to blokes, even middle-aged blokes like me were buying it.
It's quite varied, isn't it? Yeah.
The New Order fans are all buying it.
Yeah.
I know,
They were clinging on to it like, oh yeah, let's bring them back. But
I know, we've got all that New Order stuff, and we were just listening to Orbital, so we don't know how that happened.
Look,
but
if you're being compared to good, successful bands who've had 30-year careers, there's no harm in that, is there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the new album's a bit different, but it was always going to be, because we just like to change, kind of musical chameleons, like a less good Bowie, Right,
well, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but first let's have another listen to a track from your album Acolyte. This is one of my favourites, This Momentary.